Okay, welcome everybody and thank you for joining us on our Galapagos night. This is an exciting destination. I hope you guys are all interested in hearing more about it. It has been on my bucket list for years. I had a colleague that went down there, oh, probably 15 years ago, and I have been itching to go there myself. And if and when I do get a chance to go, this is how I want to go. I want to go with celebrities. Celebrity, you're going to hear about them tonight. They have a most amazing set of products, and better than that, they have an amazing experience. And I'm joined tonight by Anna Benetti and Nancy Faulkner. They are going to tell you all about it. Anna's loaded, chock full of great information, and so she's going to share a lot of that with us tonight. As a quick reminder, this is this week's We Will Travel event. And you can see a list of the upcoming ones at that email address, at that web address right there. This coming week is Italy. After that, we've got Croatia and Greece and Northern Lights countries like Finland and Iceland. So lots of other cool destinations coming up, but nothing quite as unique as the Galapagos. So I want to thank Anna again for being here, and I'm going to ask her to take on the wonderful job of sharing with us about this fantastic destination. Thank you so much for being here, Anna.
Perfect, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here, Christy. It's truly wonderful to be here with all of you. It's lovely, even though we have to do these things virtually, it's still lovely to be able to share a little bit of what I'm passionate of, is the Galapagos Islands. So this is exclusively what I do, is work on this product. And I hope to inspire all of you, and so you can learn a little bit about this unique destination that we have here. So the Galapagos is quite different than what you're used to hearing about our big celebrity cruises ships. You're going to learn all about how we do everything in the Galapagos and how unique this product is. So we do offer a truly seamless, all-inclusive and environmentally conscious vacation, and it is all done celebrity style. Now, when I say it's all-inclusive, I truly mean it. So everything is taken care of for you. So the only thing you need to worry about is taking pictures and having an amazing time. Everything else will be covered. So once you do one of our 10-night or longer packages, we'll include your hotel stay, your flights to and from the Galapagos Islands. Of course, you'll have a 7-night cruise in the Galapagos, all your meals, your beverages, your gratuities, your shore excursions, as well as anything you might need to do the excursions, like snorkeling equipment or walking sticks. Even wetsuits will be included for you. So you truly don't have to worry about a thing. Issues with canceled or delayed flights. It also is important so that you can spend a little bit of time in Quito and get to know this beautiful city. So our 10-night package includes a 2-night stay beforehand in Quito. Then we do a 7-night cruise in the Galapagos. And then we have an additional night at the end that we stay in Quito. Now, some guests would like to spend some more time, so we do offer the 11-night, which will give you that additional night at the end as well. Now, for those of you that are, big time bucket list type travelers, we do offer a very, very special, very unique experience where we can do both the Galapagos and Machu Picchu on one trip. Now, these are two huge destinations, and the nice thing about it is we're able to do it all in a very seamless and very luxurious package. So here we include, in Peru, we use the Belmont hotel properties. We do the Belmont Hirumbingam train. Of course, you get to see Machu Picchu, but you also get to see other sites like Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo, off of Cusco in the Sacred Valley. So it's just a spectacular journey. If you're interested in that, certainly, happy to answer questions about it also at the end. But it is a phenomenal opportunity to be able to do both of these destinations in one trip. So let's talk a little bit about our package. So all of you would be flying in to Quito, which is the capital city of Ecuador. And then when you arrive in Quito, we use the JW Marriott. What's wonderful about having it is we actually have a hospitality desk right in the lobby. So if you do need anything at any time, we have a team there that can assist you with any questions. And it's really well located for the next day's tour. So the first day that you're in Quito, we include a full day guided tour, which is really wonderful. Quito is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it does merit at least that 1 day visit. So it is wonderful that you get to spend some time there. And then after your walking tour, you have lunch right in the city center, and it's just a spectacular spread. And then in the afternoon, you have the option. You can either go back to the hotel to rest, or I would strongly advise that you continue on the tour and we visit the Ipinyan Solar Museum. And there, it's a very interactive museum. It's outdoors. And of course, you get to take the famous picture with 1 foot on each side of the equator. So if you go to Quito, you have to take that picture, right? So it's really a wonderful experience to do the tour. So try to stay on for the tour for the whole day. And then in the evening, we also have a local gourmet restaurant that we shut down. We take over only for our guests, and you get to enjoy a lovely dinner before the next day's adventures. So the next day, we fly you to the Galapagos Islands. So in all of our 10-night packages and longer, we also include the flight from Quito to the Galapagos Islands. So the flight is about 1 hour and 45 minutes. And the beautiful thing about it is it's a nonstop flight, and it's exclusive to our celebrity guests. So everybody on board will be on the ship with you. You see here, this is actually a picture that I took a few years ago of the arrival in Gibraltar. So there is no gangway, so you do have to climb down some stairs to get on and off the plane. But it is a lovely experience. So let me show you just a little bit more about the islands before we get into more detail.
There are no other places like it on Earth. A place where the surrounding ocean is the undercurrent that creates a unique web of life.
The Galapagos Islands are unusually rich in wildlife, in large part because of the ocean.
Here, deep, cold, nutrient-rich water is forced to the surface, setting off a chain of events that give rise to a wealth of strange and wondrous animals. The Galapagos lie at the intersection of several major ocean currents, but it is one current that is especially important.
At the equator, a current within the ocean's depths flows eastward, striking the submerged base of the Galapagos Islands. This sets in motion the very essentials for the creation of life.
As the equatorial undercurrent strikes the base of the islands in the west, cold, nutrient-rich water flows to the surface and acts like fertilizer. Algae and phytoplankton bloom, producing the food that fuels the island's life.
The phytoplankton, or tiny drifting plants, are eaten by small drifting animals or zooplankton, which then feed a wealth of other creatures in the islands.
Fish and squid eat the zooplankton and then are the prey for larger creatures.
Birds plunge and dive into the sea, where sea turtles and marine iguanas swim. Sea lions, penguins, sharks, and even whales come to feed.
When upwelling is the strongest, Galapagos is abundant with life. Animals reproduce. The young survive and juveniles grow strong.
With strong upwelling in the west, marine iguanas grow large and dense in population. Penguins and flightless cormorants thrive, as does the underwater life. In the Galapagos, many of the animals are unique or endemic to the islands.
In the Galapagos, the ocean provides the fuel that sparks life. And here, it is rich, wild, and like no other place on Earth.
So I hope you enjoyed that. I always love watching the quick intro into the Galapagos. So I have this image here for a couple of reasons. Number one is the lady on the left. Her name is Bitinia. She's actually our lead cruise director. She's also the lead naturalist. She's been with us for over 16 years working on our team. And also because just to let you know that all the groups that go out to do excursions, which again, they're all included, but the groups are no bigger than 10 people to each naturalist. So the naturalists are on board throughout the entire time that you're on board with us. And the naturalists will be there as well. So you always have lots of opportunities to ask them questions and interact with them. And during your excursions, you're in very small groups, which also makes it a really wonderful experience. So I talked a little bit about excursions. They're all included. You have all sorts of different options. So it's basically up to you. So you would sign up the night before. The naturalist will host a briefing and they'll tell you, what animals you'll see the next day, what type of topography you'd be walking on, and then you can pick whether you want to do an easy excursion or maybe something that's a little bit more strenuous. We have different types of snorkeling. So one is just easy right off the beach, or if you want to try the advanced snorkeling, really the difference is you're going off of a tender and you're not able to touch the sea floor. And then, of course, we also have the coastal explorations where you get to see so much marine life just from the comfort of the Zodiacs or the tenders. And there's sometimes a third option for kayaking. So you basically have an excursion in the morning, you come back on board for lunch, and then while the ship repositions or goes to another island or a different side of the same island. And then after that, we do an excursion in the afternoon. And there's actually some days that you'll have a third option after that. So there's always a lot to do, and this is definitely a very active type trip. So a little bit more about the islands. So there's so many reasons why these islands are so special, and I won't take up all day telling you, but I'll give you just a couple of them. The first one is, or I think is one of the more interesting ones as well, is that the animals have no natural fear of humans. So although we're supposed to stay about 8 feet away from them, and it's still amazing to see how you walk by the trail and the animals just kind of stare at you, but they don't just scurry away, which is just so different than what we're used to. The second thing that makes it so interesting to me is how the animals have evolved and adapted in order to survive. This really is a living laboratory. So when you go there, you get to see how these animals have adapted, and you get to experience it firsthand, which is just so cool. So here you have a couple of Galapagos giant tortoises in Santa Cruz. And you'll notice that these tortoises have a longer neck and they have a concave shell. And the reason for all of that is because of how they feed. So they feed in the highlands where they need to reach up to get their food. Now, if you go to a neighboring island, you may see an animal that it's definitely a giant tortoise, but it looks slightly different. And if you look closely, you pay attention, you'll notice that it's because the shells are perhaps a little bit more rounded and the necks perhaps aren't as long. And it may just be because the giant tortoises on that island feed on vegetation that's close to the ground. So it hasn't had to change in the same way as the others. So it's just so interesting, and there's so many examples of stories about that. So I hope that inspires you to read a little bit more about how the animals have adapted in Galapagos. So the islands are basically, they were formed by tectonic plates that collided and created these volcanic eruptions. So these are volcanic islands that have never been connected to the mainland. If you have here a picture of Fernandina, which is also a really great example of the type of lava fields that you would be walking on. So I will bring up here the very important footwear to pack for Galapagos. So ladies, don't bring your heels to Galapagos. You can leave those at home. Here you definitely want those low hiking boots or shoes with good soles on them. That's highly, highly recommended. It'll make a world of difference when you're there. Fernandina is also a great example of a really large colony of marine iguanas that can be found. Now, marine iguanas in the Galapagos are incredibly special. They're actually the only ones in the world that have the ability to dive into the water to feed on the green algae at the bottom of the sea. So you can imagine there's not a whole lot of food for them on the lava fields, but the ocean is plentiful with food under the sea. So these animals are so interesting and so cool to watch, and you may be lucky enough to see some not only swimming with you, but maybe even foraging at the bottom of the sea. You see one here in action. So here's a bird that is endemic to the Galapagos Islands. I don't know if I have any bird watchers on the call today. Sometimes I do, and they quickly recognize a cormorant because you can find them in many places around the world. But they all of a sudden realize that this one looks slightly odd, right? It has the atrophied wings, and it has the legs that are, they look a little bit thicker than what a regular cormorant looks like. And the reason for that is that this bird has actually lost its ability to fly in the Galapagos Islands. So again, there's so much more vegetation and food that it can live off of the ocean rather than on land. So it has no natural predators that it needs to fly away from. And all of its food, like its squid and everything that it eats, is right in the water. And then it also uses a seaweed to collect seaweed to build its nest. So it's really, really interesting and very, very cool to be able to see this bird that, again, is endemic and cannot be found anywhere else but in the Galapagos Islands. Now we have 3 different types of boobies in the Galapagos. I know some of you or a lot of you may automatically recognize the most popular, which is the blue-footed booby. Now I should say that you can see blue-footed boobies in other parts, not just in Galapagos, but they are so much fun to see and so cool to watch when they're diving into the water to eat. They dive in these huge packs, and it's just spectacular to see how they do it. But they're most famous for their blue feet. They use it during their mating ritual, where they will dance in front of the female. And of course, the bluer the feet, the healthier the bird, which makes it more attractive bird. So you see that one here on the right of the screen. Then the one in the middle is the red-footed booby. Now this is the more elusive booby. So it's also the only one that has the ability to perch on a branch. And then the last one you see here is the Nazca booby. It's also known as the masked booby. So if you do see a picture where it's looking straight at you, you'll notice it looks like it's wearing a superhero mask around its eyes. And now this is one of the big favorites. The waved albatross has lots of really cool things about it. One is the only place in the world where the waved albatross mates is on Española Island. So it arrives sometime between March and April, and it'll find its mate. They will have one egg. That egg will hatch, and both parents will help in the incubation period. Both will help feed the baby chick and raise the baby chick. And then around October, November, once the baby chick is strong enough to fly away, both the mother and the father will fly off on their own separate ways, only to reunite again and start the mating process again in March, April of the following year on Española. So really, it's a great story. And also another really neat thing about it is they're incredibly clumsy on land. So you'll see them kind of waddling around, but then when you see them soar off the cliffs of Española, it's just spectacular. And yes, the baby chicks do learn how to fly by jumping off those incredible cliffs, which is also quite a sight to see. So in the Galapagos Islands, you will have these beautiful white sand beaches, like you see the one right here in Gardner Bay. But you should know that there's also dark sand beaches, like black sand beaches. There's red sand beach, like in Rábida. There's a green sand beach. So that's all based on the sediments of the area. But again, you could be in the morning somewhere that looks like this, and then in the afternoon in a dark sand beach. So it's just a super, super interesting trip. So this is another guest favorite, and it's also the #1 rule breaker in Galapagos. So the Galapagos sea lion will not always stay 8 feet away from you, even though you try, especially while you're snorkeling. I like to think that they have the behavior of a pup, you know, of a baby, of a little dog, because they will definitely come right up to you, blow bubbles in your face, do pirouettes, and they're incredibly friendly and lots of fun to snorkel with, but you will see them everywhere. They love to sunbathe as well. So all of our itineraries offer 6 or 7 different snorkeling experiences. Snorkeling is my favorite part of the whole trip, just because jumping into the water in the Galapagos is like jumping into an aquarium. So you're automatically welcomed by sea lions and sea turtles. You'll see starfish, schools of tropical fish. There's just so much marine life. You might even see some penguins and marine iguanas as well. But on the opposite end, like my boss loves the hiking. So there's really something for everyone in Galapagos. I also like the hiking very much too. It's hard to pick a favorite. I just love snorkeling in general. So I'll talk to you, excuse me, a little bit about our ships. We are so fortunate. We actually have 3 different vessels in the Galapagos. So I feel like, I like to think about it, we have something different and unique for every different personality. So depending on what you're looking for, we can help you find something that fits you best and what you have in mind. So I'll start from the smallest. This is Celebrity Exploration. She's our 16-passenger catamaran. So this is really an amazing ship if you are celebrating something special and you want to do like you and your closest family and friends. There's only 8 rooms on the catamaran. So it's just fantastic to be able to explore the Galapagos in your own private vessel, your own private catamaran. So just a wonderful little vessel. Here's just some pictures to give you an idea of what she looks like. So lots of open spaces. One of the things that surprised me the most is how spacious the rooms are. Because when you think of, you know, it's a small vessel, 16 passengers, but the rooms are super, super spacious, lots of storage. The bathrooms are also very spacious and comfortable. For me, that's always, you know, very important. And then we do have an outdoor area to eat, and we also have an indoor area to eat as well. And then we have our lovely Celebrity Expedition. She used to be a 100-passenger vessel, and we've converted her to 48 passengers. So you can imagine how much space there is on board this ship. Now, space is so important. So we're ahead of the game with the expedition. And she still has like over 50 crew. So really the level of highly personalized service is crazy. And she really is iconic. She's our award-winning vessel. We really brought cruising world to the Galapagos like 16 years ago with this vessel. So she's amazing. And she just went a couple of years ago through a whole refurb. So you can see how beautiful she is. This is my favorite place to eat in the Galapagos, outside. You never know when you're going to hear a whale in the distance or see a frigate bird fly by. This is the lounge area where our naturalists host their briefings, and the indoor dining area on expedition, just so beautiful. And of course, there's different types of accommodations on this ship. So there's some just windows, and we have our suites. And then I'll tell you a little bit about our brand new ship. She just turned a year old a month ago. I can't believe we're already in September. But she just turned a year old, and she's absolutely spectacular. This is ultra luxury. She's already won so many awards, and definitely eco-conscious, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. But she was actually purposely designed to sail on the Galapagos Islands. So the designers, the architects, everybody went to the Galapagos to experience what was most important, and then that's how this ship was built. So I'll do a quick video to show you what it looks like. So I hope you enjoyed that. She is absolutely stunning, really amazing vessel. So we're so fortunate to be able to have Flora sailing in Galapagos. And we also have some unique experiences that we're able to offer, like our glamping, which is so popular, has gotten such great reviews from our guests. And guests basically get to spend the night under the stars. So the Galapagos are about 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador. So there's really not a lot of light pollution. And it's one of the few places you can comfortably see both the northern and southern hemisphere constellations. So looking up at the sky at night in the Galapagos is just an incredible, incredible experience. And this experience, this glamping experience, we actually do dinner, we have a guided stargazing, and then you can choose to spend the night. It's actually 2 different cabanas. One for sleeping and one for the eating and the briefings and everything. And then the next day you can have breakfast out there as well. And it's a whole experience. You also, before that, get to visit the bridge, spend some time with the captain, and we also give you some pajamas, which is always nice too. So I mentioned some of that. Flora is the most eco-conscious ship of its size in the Galapagos. There's lots of amazing reasons why. One is the dynamic positioning system, which allows it to stay in place without us having to drop the anchors. We haven't had plastic in the Galapagos for many years, but we give you always a bottle of water. And on Flora, it's an all-suite vessel, but every suite actually has an in-suite filtration system, which is separate from the sink, where you can refill your bottle of water right in the comfort of your suite. It's also the first ship of its size to have solar panels to help complement the energy that we use on board. And I won't go through everything because I know, I don't want to take up your whole evening, but there's so many amazing things about it. And we also have some amazing community efforts as well. One is we have an exclusive excursion on all of our, on the towards the end of the trip, where guests can go out and they can plant a seedling of a Scalesia tree, which is endemic to the Galapagos Islands. So you also get to kind of give back and help reforest an area in partnership with the national park. So I'll show you just a quick clip about how our guests are able to participate in giving back to the islands. So we're actually at over 50,000 Scalesia trees to date. So we're very, very proud of that. And we do make it easy for you. So we actually dig the hole for you, and we give you the little tag and the seedling. So we don't make you work too hard, but you do feel accomplished after you plant the tree. So with that, Christy, I'll open it up to any questions that anybody may have, or any questions that you may have.
That was fantastic, Anna. Really great stuff. I love seeing all that stuff. And one of the things that really speaks to me about this trip is not just that it's such a unique and special place in the world, but also that you take such care as a company and to not just bring this very special place to the guests, but to have a small impact on this very special environment. And, that's part and parcel to everything you're doing, especially with the newest ship that was so purpose-built, right? I mean, you don't even drop an anchor. So it's really very special to me. We have one question so far in our little chat box, and that's a good place. If any of you guys on the call have questions, just click on the little chat icon on the bottom of your screen or wherever it is, and you can type your question right in there. So this question is from Diane. She wanted to know, are the 3 ships there at the same time, and what time of year is the best time to travel? That was one of my questions too.
That's excellent. Thank you for asking. That's a wonderful two questions that are both wonderful. So yes, our 3 ships are in the Galapagos year round. So the 2 smaller ones, Celebrity Expedition and Celebrity Exploration, will depart every Saturday, and Celebrity Flora departs every Sunday, but yes, year round. And they do visit different destinations. It's a national park mandate, and again, it's to reduce the environmental impact on the islands. But it is, all the itineraries are actually really, really well balanced. So you really have to see the Galapagos Islands as a whole, and you can enjoy all the animals that we've talked about. You can enjoy the topography, and actually so many more animals. I mean, I didn't even talk about, I talked about a couple of my favorites, but there's so many more. So there's lots of opportunities to see animals and wildlife in the Galapagos. So in terms of when is the best time of year to travel, it's really up to you. Year round, you're gonna have a ton of marine life, a ton of wildlife. You're gonna see all the animals, really regardless of when you go. So it's kind of better to see it as when can you travel, when is the best time for you to go. A lot of people are used to making that decision based on weather, and that of course makes a lot of sense. But based on where the Galapagos Islands are located, the weather is pretty mild year round. So I would say between like January to June, it's the warmer months, with March, April being the hottest months. And by that, I mean high 80s, and probably March, April, you'll hit the low 90s. And then between July and December, you'll have a little bit more cooler weather, so low 80s. Again, it's all very, very mild, very, same kind of weather. But it is a little bit cooler in, I would say, September, October, where it can go into the lower 80s and be high 70s as well. So again, it really just depends on when you can travel, but you're not going to really miss anything. It just kind of depends on what you want to do and what you when you go.
That's really great, because it does make it flexible that way. Carol had a question. Where do you fly into? We fly into Quito in Ecuador, and Anna had said early on in the presentation that it's how long is that flight from the mainland to the islands? About an hour and a half?
Yeah, exactly. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. So the nice thing about it is, if you do one of our 10-night or longer packages, we include the celebrity exclusive flight, which is a non-stop, which makes it a little bit faster. So it's the port of Baltra is about 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador. So just like Christy said, you would fly into Quito, and then we'll fly you into Baltra. And it's really, I use the word port very lightly. It's really not a port. It's more of a wooden dock, and then we tender you to the ship. The ships are never at dock.
That's a very good point. Another question is coming from Caro. What is the average age of travelers on these trips? That's a good question, because it does kind of speak to the type of travel it is, right?
Absolutely. No, it's an excellent question, and really a really interesting one as well, because historically our demographic has been 50 plus, retired, and it's still very much, we do have a good group of that age group, but more and more we're starting to see a trend where we have lots of multi-generational travel. So we'll have like the grandparents, and then the adult parents with their kids that are like between the ages of, like, let's say like 11 and 17, like teenage age kids. We don't have young kids, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend this for little kids. It's just not, it's a very active type itinerary, and you really want to take kids that appreciate it. So I would say overall, I would recommend that you go, when the sooner is always better, because it is an active trip. And again, you can always choose to do the more moderate or the easier walks. But I definitely recommend it for any age. I would say like 8 years old and above. It's just such an incredible and unique experience to visit it. So on average, I would say we're still at about the 50 plus, and then in the summer months and the holidays, spring break, there you start seeing a lot of families with adult children.
Mm-hmm.
or teenage children.
Is there any special, is another question that's coming in, it's kind of prompting me too. Are there special visas required or immunizations required to visit the islands?
Great question. So for North America guests, no, there's no immunizations or visas required to visit. So it's pretty simple. And then in our packages, we take care of the tourist card fee and the national park entrance fee. So you don't have to worry about any of that.
Donna has a question. Are there tourist sites on the island? Cultural spots, types of things to do besides hiking and snorkeling?
Excellent question. So yes, on all of our itineraries, we'll have at minimum one stop where you get to go into the town. Everybody goes to Puerto Ayora, which is one of the bigger towns. And you can, yes, there's definitely shopping. I know souvenir shopping is super important. So you can do lots of souvenir shopping there. And you can definitely walk around the town. Maybe grab a local snack and yes, but we do on board also is all local cuisine. So, well,
That's
local
great.
and international, but there's always we have a menu that's split. So one side is like our international regular, standard menu. And then the other side has all of the local specialties. And if you like seafood, or if you like fish, I mean, there's always like meat and chicken and pork and, all of that. But if you're a person that likes seafood or fish, this is like the freshest fish, the most delicious seafood. So just order that. That's my that's my secret recommendation.
Eat local, right? That whole farm.
Yeah, my insider tip is always order the fish or the seafood. It's always so good.
You can, Michelle has a question about how to get down there. So you can actually fly from Newark or JFK, if you're in the tri-state area, New Jersey, New York area, down to South America very easily, actually. Sometimes, some different seasons of the year, you'll get a direct flight down to Quito. Other times you may not. But it's a surprisingly not as far as you'd think kind of flight. It's not even as far as Europe in some respects. I mean, it's shorter than you'd think. So it's pretty accessible, certainly from like the Northeast and other places as well. Let me look, see. Oh, now we've got some other questions about prices and stuff. So I'm gonna tap Nancy real quick. I'm gonna make her chime in here because this will trip into a few different questions. So there are Celebrity offers great promotions throughout the course of the year. And they have some pretty interesting ones at the moment. So I'll let Nancy talk about that. And I'd also ask her to talk about the current situation, which is, a little unusual. Let's call it that. Let's try to put a brave face on it because there is a great book with confidence policy that Celebrity is offering. So Nancy, would you mind fielding that?
Okay. Well, yes, Celebrity does have some interesting promotions right now, but when it comes to the Galapagos, they'll have their own promotions in place. Whatever brand offer we may have out there, those never apply to the Galapagos because Galapagos is a separate all-inclusive product. So it is very, very special and we treat it very, very special. But we have had offers in the past for the Galapagos. Anna, off the top of my head, and I have most of my computer shut down, what are the current offers for the Galapagos?
Yeah, great question. No, I just noticed that you can see me kind of strange here with this lighting. I just noticed I couldn't see myself before.
When you move, it does it. It's okay.
Oh my goodness. It looks like I'm at a disco or something. So yes, we have an amazing offer right now, which like Nancy said, we don't have a ton of offers for Galapagos, but for the month of September, we're doing half off the second guest. And then we're also including the airfare from North America into Quito.
Those are some
That's
great
for booking
offers.
this month, but not traveling this month.
Correct. Yes, correct. Yeah. No, we are still, unfortunately, and I know this is it's very hard for me because I, of course, love to travel in this industry. But it is, right now we are on hold also, just like the rest of Celebrity Cruises until November 1st. So we shall see.
Right.
Yes, unfortunately, we have, currently suspended our sailings and we are targeted for November 1st for most of the fleet. There's a couple of transatlantics that have also been canceled, but fingers crossed, we'll be sailing the beginning of November. Uh, don't know how else to put that. Back in March, I never would have thought it would have taken this long.
I know.
But one of the things that Celebrity has in place is a cruise with confidence. Now, currently the program has a book by date of September 30th. There's a good chance that might get extended. So definitely touch base with Christy to find out. But right now, if you book by September 30 on any of these Celebrity products, we have the Cruise with Confidence. And when you book by September 30, you can, if you need to, cancel within 48 hours of sailing or 2 days before sailing and get 100% future cruise credit as opposed to a penalty.
Correct.
And then you can take that future cruise credit to then rebook your cruise at a later date when you're able to travel should something come up.
And that's very
So
unique. That is very specific to what's happening now.
absolutely.
That point of flexibility does not normally exist.
Right, you know, and because of what's been happening right now, some people have been a little bit cautious, but we found that with this Cruise with Confidence program that clients are feeling comfortable with going ahead and making that reservation. Maybe all they have down is a deposit.
Right.
And they have to cancel. Well, they'll get that future cruise credit for that deposit.
The
If for
prices
some reason it's
are
non-refundable.
typically priced double occupancy on all these, on all three of these vessels, right? There's no single supplement kind of.
No, they're all double occupancy. We don't usually sell single staterooms at all. And we don't do triples and quads.
Right. Right. This is a very unique product. I mean, this
It
really
is.
is a very unique destination. It's a very special set of ships. So it does kind of narrow the typical scope of what you might expect from a much larger ship, whether it's in Celebrity's fleet or not. There's a couple of questions floating in about specific price questions. I am going to reach back out to you guys individually who are asking those questions because there's so many variables in the discussion about pricing. So, I mean, I could throw a number out there, but it won't be meaningful unless I get a little more information from you as individuals to kind of give you a little bit better of a ballpark answer that's more realistic. So I will get back to those of you who are specifically asking questions about prices. As far as the offer that you were just mentioning, Anna, that is going on through the end of September, where the second person is traveling at a discount. You have to book by the end of September. How is there a sail by bracket in that?
Till 2022.
Oh, so we got plenty of time, loads of time.
Oh, yes.
So that's also one of the beautiful things about Galapagos and makes it, that is unique too, is that our deployment is open way further out. Most guests that book Galapagos don't book last minute. This is something that most people have in their bucket list. You know, they want to do it and they kind of plan for it with some time in advance. And then regarding, just to add on to the single rate, if somebody is looking for a single pricing or something like that, just because we don't normally do it, there's always maybe a small chance of an exception, or if there's availability, or, you know, so it's worth asking. So just ask Christy, and then Christy will get with us and we'll see what we can do. I mean, we definitely can never promise anything because the team could just be like, no, sorry. Mostly it's because of the park restrictions. We can never go over our capacities,
Right.
Which is why it's so strict and it's so hard. But I just want to make sure that if there's someone there that, you know, you usually travel as a single person, you know, and you're open, you know, to travel whenever, and you're flexible, you know, maybe there's something that can be found on a date where we can do it. So
Right.
Just reach out to Christy and she'll get in touch with us, and we'll see if there's anything that we can do.
Thank you. So just to kind of sweeten the pot a little bit, if anybody is interested in jumping on these promotions and is interested in making a deposit in the next 30 days till the end of the month, I'm going to toss in a little extra sweetener myself, and I'm going to offer you a $500 discount towards your double occupancy Galapagos trip with Celebrity. So there are details with that. So if it's something you seriously want to talk about, I won't drag it on. I'll just let you know it's out there. You can call me. And so the next question is how do you get a hold of me? So my phone number and my email are up on the screen. Most of you are getting my emails, but if you're not, you will after tonight. And you can always follow us on social media. If you go up to my website at escapeartistholidays.com, you can enter for our quarterly contest. Dream Vacation always tosses out a quarterly contest. This quarter's drawing will be made mid-October, and they're giving away a Bahama cruise for a couple of nights on another cruise line, but a fantastic little excuse to get away. And that cruise is, you know, you can book it for much later on, so you don't have to worry about traveling anytime soon. You can always travel whenever you like. You know, honestly, this is such a spectacular destination, Galapagos. It really has been on my list. And, you know, personally, I always thought it was kind of inaccessible. It was the kind of thing where it was just perpetually going to be carved in stone on the bucket list. It would never be achievable. And one of the things I want to impress upon you guys is this. There really isn't any place in the world that is unattainable as far as that dream destination. And even a place like the Galapagos that seems both distant and maybe complicated, or perhaps out of your, you know, typical budget kind of situation, it can be all those things, but that doesn't mean it's not attainable. Because they have such a long schedule out, right? They're scheduling out sailings for 2+ years. You have the opportunity to do the deposit and then schedule regular payments over the course of that entire duration so that you don't have to out of pocket in a way that is painful. It can happen over time. I do that with a lot of my clients on vacations big and small, so you can do scheduled payments. Planning in advance always makes things easier. Plus it gives you something really exciting to look forward to. I know that the things that are on my bucket list, and as a travel agent, you might imagine it's a very long bucket list because everywhere sounds so good. As soon as I book a place for a client, I'm like, oh, let's add that to the list. It is so attainable to go to a place as seemingly, you know, crazy as the Galapagos. So I hope you're inspired to stretch your dreams a little bit, whether it's the Galapagos or somewhere closer to home. I know we're all kind of stuck in this pause and it kind of stinks. But you know what? There's no reason that you just can't get out a little bit, whether it's a little closer to home. I do encourage you to get out and take advantage of something that might be in your backyard that you never took the time to do. I know personally, I'm excited that the museums in New York City are opening up. They just started reopening this week, so I will be at the Metropolitan Museum of Art next weekend for hours until they personally kick me out because I'm so in need of getting back into a place where I can travel the world in an afternoon. So I hope you guys take the time in your own, you know, neck of the woods to get out and explore a little bit and dream big. And when you're ready to book your next vacation, I hope you give me a call. We're going to post this video up on our website, on my YouTube channel, and you can see that link on my page. And so share it with your friends, and by all means, reach out to me. I'd be delighted to talk to you guys about whatever your vacation dreams are on your mind. Thank you again, Nancy and Anna. This was such a great presentation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
So welcome. Thanks for having us.
And if any of you guys have more questions, please just let me know. I'm happy to answer them. All righty. Everybody have a great night. Stay healthy, stay safe, be well.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye. Good night.